If you love video games, or retro games to be specific, then there is no doubt that you've heard of Atari. This classic video game company was a leader in the video game industry from the 1970s to the early 80s, and they are known for releasing many popular games including Pong, Asteroids, Space Invaders, and a library of many more. But did you know that Atari dabbled with pinball? While Atari's legacy in the arcade revolution towards video games is very well cemented, many today do not realize Atari tried its hand in pinball as well. The story itself is curiously brief and brutal, and its failure a fascinating case study on how reinventing the wheel can be a destructive enterprise. Now, this episode today isn't entirely on Atari's pinball history, but a deeper view instead on one of 7 Atari full production pinball machines. That's right, Atari only officially released 7 pinball titles before they kicked the bucket. Now, there are rumored to be about 3 to 4 prototypes out there in existence on top of the 7 officially produced, but as you can tell, these machines had a very small production run, and you don't see them around today as much as you would think. It's quite rare to come across pinballs created or manufactured by Atari. And today we have the joy of reviewing Atari's 4th pinball in their production, Middle-earth. Released in February of 1978, Atari only produced 210 Middle-earth machines. And to be frank, out of my entire collection, this is the rarest machine I've acquired, and I'm using the term rare here as in the minimal production run. Even taking a look over at the Internet Pinball database, at the time of this recording there are only 36 machines documented by serial number. And now yes, who knows when this was last updated, but I think you get my point on how scarce these machines are. And a fun fact as well, even though it's rare, you might be surprised to find out that it's on the cheaper side, especially when getting into the pinball hobby. Pinside pricing at the moment has them from about $900 to $1,000, and some market sales only pushing $1,500 max for a restored machine. But with this being said, let's take a small dive into Atari's Middle-earth, the gameplay, and this fascinating machine. Before you drop in a quarter, you will notice the displays may look a little odd. First off, not only are they located in the apron instead of the back glass like a traditional machine, but they appear to be jumbled. After you drop in a quarter and press the start button, it'll go away, now displaying player 1 is up and kick out your first ball. Now just remember, this is 1978, shortly after electronics in solid state was brought into pinball, so the rules and gameplay aren't as deep and quite simplistic. Back to the game, you'll also notice there are 2 sets of flippers, as I like to section them off as your lower playfield and upper playfield. Both sections have a set of drop targets. Hitting a single drop target rewards 500 points, also indicated by the marking on the target. If you knock down the entire bank, it will reset, but now increasing the drop targets to 1,000 points per hit. If you manage to drop down both banks of targets, the one in the lower playfield and the one in the upper playfield, this will light your extra ball in the right return lane. I am currently missing that light, so that's why you're not seeing it lit up at the current moment. Draining after achieving the extra ball will do exactly as it states, award you another ball. This is also indicated by the display not changing upon the drain. Another way to gather some points in Middle-earth besides the drop targets are the 2 spinners. One is located on the left, and the other is located on the right side of the playfield. If you can make an accurate shot, you can give these spinners quite the rip. The upper section of the playfield also provides a really satisfying loop shot if made correctly. The first pass through the loop gives 1 bonus advance, which is located in the middle of the playfield by the corresponding inserts. The second pass through on the loop awards 2 advances towards your bonus and keeps increasing until you max out 3 bonuses per loop shot. Also scattered throughout the playfield are star rollovers. If you can hit all 5 unlit star rollovers, this will activate your double bonus, which as stated, doubles your bonuses upon your ball drain. The last playfield feature to go over is the standing targets. There are 5 located in the upper playfield, and they correspond to the 2 upper jet bumpers or thumpers as the manual calls them. Each hit on the jet bumper only awards 10 points unless lit. You can achieve this by hitting the standing targets as mentioned, which will now toggle the jet bumpers from 10 to 100 points per hit. Completing all 5 standing targets increases the star rollovers from the standard 50 points to now 500 points per passover. And that's about it. As mentioned, we need to remember this was during the time that pinball was still evolving, let alone a time when Atari decided to dabble with pinball themselves. It's a simple game that can be quite challenging and full of drains. In a minute, we will get to some gameplay, but to give you a better feel for the machine, it's a wide body, so it can be quite slow and clunky, but also fast and punishing depending on the shots you take. But before the gameplay showcase, I'd like to point out 2 other neat features that Atari has done to my knowledge that no other manufacturers have. The first is being the coin door. This shape and design is also known as the owl coin door due to its look. The quarter slots representing the shape of 2 owl eyes, which is quite a neat and bizarre feature. The second is the way Atari connected their wiring. If we take a look inside, you will see the wires are connected with crimps and lugs. At least that's what I call them, but it's basically just the connector. A standard pinball machine usually directly solders the wires right to the lugs of the solenoids. This is almost innovative, if you would say, because you can just pull and replace these wires much faster and easier. But over time, this also becomes a weak point, or at least has in my machine. These connectors have aged and lost their strength over the years and were slipping off of the lugs, causing loose and faulty problems. But nonetheless, another bizarre feature that only Atari pulled off during this time. If you ever get a chance to find one or play one on location, and yes, I'm going to provide a place where there is a decent Atari collection, give Middle-earth or any Atari pinball a shot. They are quite different and can be very fun and at least worth dropping a quarter into. If you are from the United States, Pastime Arcade out in Ohio has one of the biggest collections of pinball machines ever, including Atari machines, and it would be an awesome opportunity if you are traveling or from the area to try one out in the wild. But with that being said, let's show off a quick gameplay with no commentary on this rare machine. And otherwise, I just want to say thank you guys for watching and let me know what you think about Middle-earth. Let's dive into the gameplay.